So the book is a book about intimacy and about some of the ways in which intimacy can fail. I didn't pursue this topic myself, or at least not initially. Originally, I was gifted this as a commission. It was not originally going to be a book of poems. It was going to be a stage show. I was commissioned to write a stage show on the topic of intimacy. And it was one of those enormously generous and trusting and completely terrifying briefs where I could kind of write what I wanted on that topic, which of course meant I wrote nothing at all. I'm one of those writers who requires quite a lot in the way of constraint. And so the very first thing I did was to fly into a panic about this, because I thought, oh no, I don't think I know anything about this topic, which sounds a bit daft. I don't want to suggest that I have never experienced intimacy or that I haven't participated in it. I knew that I had, and I knew as well that I would recognise it again, or I believed I would recognise it again, should I find myself experiencing some intimacy again. But in terms of a definition or some kind of governing principle, if you like, I really came up empty-handed. So I did what I always do when faced with something I find frightening, intimidating. I thought, I am going to research this to within 1 inch of its life. So I set about this quite intensive period of reading as much as I could on the topic, like really directionless reading, because I think my sole criterion for something being on my reading list was that it have the word intimacy in the title. And I did read some brilliant books. Lauren Ballant's book on intimacy is particularly fantastic, I think. But at the same time, I ended up in a position where I felt that the more I explored this as a topic, the more I read around this topic, the more it simultaneously seemed to recede from me at the same time, and I still didn't have anything down on the page. So, I mean, at the centre of this really was that I kept coming upon this one problem, being confronted with this one issue, this one minotaur, if you like, crouching at the centre of all of this, which, if I'm being absolutely honest, is the same minotaur that's crouching at the centre of a lot of things for me, which is this great Wittgensteinian burden of whether or not you can truly communicate with another human being, whether you can really know, how do you really know if what you said or what you meant to say is what was understood, and vice versa. I'm putting that really crudely, but that is the minotaur, and it's quite a melancholy thought to pursue as well. So this was the position I was in some weeks and perhaps even months later, and I found myself attending one of those things that's half event and half Christmas party, where no one really knows each other, and I found myself talking to someone I did not know who worked as a scientist, and I'd been asking him about his research, which was interesting, and then came the point in the conversation where he said, "And what are you working on?" And my heart just plummeted because I thought, oh, I'm not sure you really want to know, and I definitely don't want to tell you, and also I really feel I'm failing at what I'm doing. I really, somehow my topic has escaped me, and I said, to be absolutely frank, I'm meant to be writing on the topic of intimacy, but I don't think I think I'm failing. I don't think I know how to write on that topic. I don't think I even know where to begin. And the guy that I was talking to said, well, you know, I don't think you can really talk about intimacy without talking about this great Wittgensteinian burden of whether or not you can truly communicate with another person. And I sort of fell on him, and I said, that's what I think too. I think that's what I think too. This is one of my own excruciations. And then what ensued was this like very warm, interested, animated conversation where suddenly both of us started disclosing quite intimate things to each other, while simultaneously, I think, realizing that we had chanced upon an instance of intimacy and also enjoying the irony of that. And I was so grateful to him for that. But I also went away from that thinking, I've been going about this all wrong with this directionless, intense, petrified, solipsistic reading. And so what I started doing instead is I just started talking to people. I started asking people the same question. I think I probably asked everyone I know. If anyone is watching this video, there's actually quite a good chance that I have asked them this question. The title of the book is I Think We're Alone Now. I would really like to be able to say that from its inception, I had meant to play with all these shuttling terms of I and we and alone. That is not the reason. The reason is quite simply that I think probably my favourite pop song of all time is I Think We're Alone Now by Tommy James and the Shondells, written by Richie Cordell, not the 1980s Tiffany version, although that's very nice as well, and there have been a lot of really good covers by other people. I'm saying this now so that I don't have to say it again, because I realised once I put the title on the book that I was probably going to spend the next 2 years of my life shouting over the music at parties saying, no, I mean the Tommy James version, to people who don't care what version I mean. However, once the title was in place, I guess it stuck around because it dealt in so many of the things that I felt were fairly integral to the book as it turned out. I hope it doesn't sound too pretentious to say it, but reading a poem itself is an intimate act, right? Like once you're reading a poem, you are in an intimate space. And I mention this because I really want to mention what Nicholas Laughlin says about the ideal for a poem, because I really like this. So he says that his ideal for a poem is that it be both improbable and inevitable. Like a poem should trouble your sense of mental privacy. Like, how did you know? I think that's fabulous.